Hey folks, Robbie Payne with Chrome Unbox coming at you today with a side-by-side comparison of the 2015 Chromebook Pixel LS and the HP Chromebook 13 G1 in two variants, the M5 and the Pentium. So we're going to put these machines side by side, run them through some tests, see how they do, and see which one gives you the most bang for your buck. Alright guys, so let's take a look at these devices side by side. Over here on the left we have, obviously with the logo there, we have the HP Chromebook 13 G1. Over here we have the Chromebook Pixel LS. Additionally, we have the M5 version of the G1. But for the most part, we can talk through with the Pentium version. I'll explain that why here in just a few minutes. But ultimately, the outside body pieces, all the exact same. The only difference is you got a faster processor in the M5, and you also get the addition of 4 more gigs of RAM, so up to 8 gigs of RAM. So let's talk through these two devices. Ultimately, the webcam on both of them, pretty much the same. 720p webcam. They're not amazing. They're not terrible. They're just what they are. Hopefully soon we'll start seeing maybe some 1080p with some HDR functions, stuff like that for better hangouts and chats. But for right now, all the webcams are pretty standard and they fare just fine. Moving down the front, we have the screen, and that's a big deal because ultimately until now the Pixel's kind of been in a league of its own when it comes to a screen. Yeah, there have been some good screens. The Toshiba Chromebook 2 and Dell Chromebook 13 come to mind at 1080p. IPS displays, so that's a lot better than the old TN panels we saw on older Chromebooks. However, one of the unique things about the Chromebook Pixels is a high DPI display. So what we get here is essentially a quad HD display. So we have 2560 by 1700. So you divide both of those by 2, what do you get? You get 1280 by 850. So basically rendering things at a 720p kind of clip. And so you'll see items and stuff. Let me make sure we are at that. So there's the native resolution of this guy. And so you'll see objects are pretty large. Text renders pretty large on the screen, which is kind of neat. And you get this kind of taller display. But everything renders as if it's 1280 by 850. So everything's nice and large on the screen. It's easy to see from a distance. Almost a little bit too much so. So a lot of times I'll back it out to the 1440. I can't remember what it does here. 1440 by 950, I think is what that says. And so that works a lot better for me, unless it's real far away, then I go back. The HP, I technically kind of prefer its pixel layout. So it's 3200 by 1800, which divided by 2 is 1600 by 900. So you're still getting a 16 by 9, not the 3 by 2. And honestly, before, that bothered me a bit on 13-inch displays. But if you do the math, again, you're getting 1600 by 900 pixel rendering. And so, as I said in the review, and as I'll continue to say, 1600 by 900 is about the right size for a 13.3 inch. Just like I think 1080p or 4K, if you double that both ways, feels good on a 15.6 and up. But beneath that, all your elements start to get a little bit small. And so I think HP really absolutely killed it with this resolution. It to me is one of the things that makes this such a pleasure and a joy to work on, especially over the last few days as I've used this as my work machine. And remember, this one is the Pentium version, so it's a $499 price tag. We'll come back around to that. Now around the screen, we do have a plastic edging on this one versus glass from corner to corner on here. That gives the Pixel a little bit more of a premium feel. Plus, you get touchscreen on the Pixel, so that is important if I can touch anything. For Android apps, especially in their inception, as they're early and we're waiting for developers to really get keyboard and trackpad support fully utilized in Android apps as they're coming to Chrome OS. So the win probably overall in screen probably goes to the Pixel, but as far as viewing quality and colors and viewing angles, we'll bend both of these forward. As you can see, I don't have the brightness cranked up because it blows out on the camera. So you're getting some glare. The glare really isn't that bad. These things are just really dim right now. You get great viewing angles forward and backward and side to side on both of these. You can see that stuff in the review, but the color accuracy, see if I can come up a couple notches without blowing the camera completely out. And it's starting to blow out already, so it's starting to look as if Yeah, see, it's not that blown out in real life. So I'm going to come back down at least a couple notches, so you can still see some colors. The Pixel, when you come at any angle, looks perfect. It never changes. This one, as we said in the review, from off angles, you get a little bit of washed out colors. So if I bend it forward, we'll go back actually, and kind of come off angle here. See how it's going a little bit white. Day-to-day use, you'll never notice that. It's not a bother, but it does show that the Pixel has a little bit better of a display. But overall in use, I found the HP Chromebook 13 to have just a wonderful display, and I love the pixel density and the way it's laid out. Both of these guys are crazy sharp. Let me see if I can get focused. You can see no real pixels available to be seen. And we'll bring the Pixel up as well. Obviously, same thing there. Tough to focus in that close, but I can tell you both of them have about the same pixel density, and you can't see pixels on either one of them. And so, beautiful screens, well done for both of these guys. Talking about the keyboard is spaced well on both of them. The keys feel great. Travel feels great on both of them. Not much I can show you in the way of that. I can show you the brightness of the backlight. And they both have 6-stage backlighting. The HP does get brighter. You can probably see that right now. Tilt it back a little bit and you can kind of see how much that comes through. Same thing here. So the HP does get a little bit brighter. I don't know that that's really a win in any way, shape, or form, because you don't really want your backlighting to be bright at night. You just want it to show your keys. So that's kind of a draw there as well. The base body here, different types of aluminum, but both aluminum, so they both feel great. The HP 13 is quite a bit thinner, so we'll talk kind of around the bodies for just a minute, and you can see as I bring this thing in just how crazy thin it is. We'll close it up here, and you can see your ports, USB 3.0, 2 USB-Cs, and a combo jack. That gorgeous chrome hinge here on the side, micro SD card slot, nothing across the front, and just that nice aluminum, shiny aluminum logo, and nice flat matte colored chrome logo on the top here. The Pixel doesn't strike such a narrow profile, but it's still really good. I mean, it's not thick in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes on camera this one tends to look thick, I think, because it's so boxy, but it doesn't feel super duper thick in the hands at all. But we have a completely square build, right? Everything's squared off, which gives it a completely unique look as well. So we have the combo headphone microphone slot. We have 2 USB 3s, USB Type-C on one side. Kind of the similar hinge, I've said this before. It's just the same kind of aluminum feel as the rest. So it's not shiny, so it doesn't stick out as much, but that HP hinge is definitely Pixel inspired, which is a good thing. Full-size SD card slot, another USB on the other side. I will give the win on ports. For the most part, this is going to be a tie 2, so we're going to talk about a couple things here. The layout of the ports, I feel like, is way better on the Pixel. And so the reason being the USB-Cs on both sides. And let me sign in while I'm talking. USBs on both sides help whenever you're plugging in monitors and all that kind of stuff. With the HP, you have all of your stuff on one side, which tends to feel a little bit crowded from time to time if you're plugging in USB peripherals, power, display, all that kind of stuff. So the layout's better. However, the SD card speed between the two, and I'm not going to take up your time showing you this. I did some speed tests. The SD card slot on the Pixel is actually run through a USB 2.0 bus, and so it can only achieve 2.0 speeds. So basically, I've done some testing, gotten about 15 megs both ways, read and write, which is not fast. So if you're trying to run stuff off of it, movies and all that kind of stuff, it's going to struggle with some higher resolution movies. This device actually got about 40, close to, I think it's 38 megabit per second write speeds. Now granted, my SD card, it's a micro SD, it's a class 10, that's about as good as you can get in a micro right now. So the port may actually be able to go faster if the SD card was faster, possibly. but the write speeds are about the same, about 15 megs per second. Now, the win you get on both of these is with a converter or just using the USB-C, or USB-C or using the USB 3.0. I have a dongle. Basically, it's as small as the Logitech keyboard dongle that would plug in. That's a 128 gig drive, and it runs, as far as write speeds on both of these, because it's going over USB 3.0, anywhere between 140 and 180 megabits per second read. Write speeds we're pushing around 30 or 40. So to me, that's a better option anyway. So SD card slots may be on their way out. I don't know. Local storage is in some weird flux. So who knows? But just so you know, the port layout on the Pixel is better, but the ports aren't all better. So that SD card slot is definitely a kind of a bummer when it comes to the Pixel if you use SD storage. So if you're moving stuff from your camera over to it, that's going to be a decent size hang up. So moving on down the devices, we also both have decent sized trackpads here. The Pixel obviously has a much taller one. We have a taller body as well. So if we put them right side by side, you get a little bit more body here, but we don't have speakers up top. So the Chromebook's Pixel speakers actually come through the keyboard, and we're going to demo those in just a second. So you get a bit of a shallower trackpad over here. This one is not glass. This one is glass. This is probably one of the best trackpads I've ever used, ever, period. Every device ever considered. It's amazing. This one over here is a decent usable trackpad. It's pretty good. And this particular device is better than any of the other ones I've used. So I've had 3 of these devices. So I had the M5 come in first, and you saw in the review it had a kind of a wonky trackpad. It wasn't great. So I ordered the Pentium for review and to see if I could use it for my own purposes, and the trackpad on it was absolutely terrible. It was almost unusable. It flopped all over the place. Then we get this one in, and it's the best of the 3 HPs I've tried, and one of the better trackpads I've used. The click is nice. It doesn't, like if I tap on it, it's not flopping around everywhere. So it's nice and tight. I don't know if maybe there was just a bad run on the HP. Who knows? Still nowhere close to as good. The Pixel wins hands down on the trackpad pretty much against any device ever. And it's a pretty good win over the HP here. So if trackpad's a huge thing to you, this may be something you want to think about. Like I said, overall weight, we're about a pound lighter over here, and it's noticeable. The thing's thin and light. It feels ultra portable, whereas this one feels like a bit of a tank, but well built. The HP 13 has everything is solid, so there's no moving parts inside. So with the Skylake chips, we don't have any fans or anything like that. Solid state storage, so just everything's solid. Over here we have the Pixel with fans, Core i7. But as we'll see in a second, I don't know that that's a huge performance gain anymore as far as benchmarks go in day-to-day use. And you have to worry about if you bump it in a bad way, the fan may go bad. I did have a Pixel with a bad fan on it, so I know that's actually a possibility. And so let's run a couple benchmarks real quick, give you a speaker test, and kind of get out of this thing. All right, we got Google Play Music loaded up, and we'll go full volume with both of them. I can tell you before we start, you're going to get a better holistic sound here. You're going to get a louder sound here, but I'll try to do my best to give you an idea. So I'm going to load up some Jon Bellion. Sure. Fast forward a little bit here. So you get some pretty nice highs. There's no bass, and I don't know that we could ever expect to get that out of laptop speakers. If that ever happens, that would be really neat, but don't expect it anytime soon.
Nothing has changed, he is the same.
You can hear this, the Pixel's clearly louder. I'm having to really raise my voice to get over it, but it's really muffled sounding. I don't know if you can pick that up. Neither one have low end. The Pixel has tons of mids. Now, that doesn't sound great with music, but it's probably going to be a lot better on voice calls or on Hangouts. Usually, you in any kind of telecommunications, you want to boost the mids for voices to kind of project both ways. So that's probably a win in the speaker department from a Hangouts perspective. from just listening to music, I would rather listen to it on the HP because the highs are nice and crisp. Neither one of them have any low end, and honestly, I'm either casting or Bluetoothing to my Bose Bluetooth speaker anyway, so it's not a huge win either way. But with the HP, with this really cool Bang & Olufsen branding and speaker grills machined in there, it looks really cool and it sounds okay. Just like I said in the review, it's all right. It's just nothing mind-blowing. So now let's take a look at some Octane scores. All right, so we have loaded both of these up in guest mode, and I'm doing the same for the M5 version as well. And you can see in guest mode, you're getting an experience that basically has no extensions or anything like that running. And the reason that's important is extensions can slow down the Octane scores. And so to get a better benchmark, it's basically giving us a clean slate for both of these. And I'm running this test right now on the M5. So we'll swap it out so you can kind of see it run on the M5. Hopefully you can probably even hear the way that this mouse, or the way that this trackpad kind of clunks when you click it. It's one of those, like, just tapping on it, you can hear it just clicking all over the place. Like I said, I think it was a bad run from HP, more than likely. But while that is running, keep in mind for a second that this is close to 28,000. My guess is this will run 28 to 29,000. This is the M5, so that lines up with the i5 when you're talking about the Core i line. Now, granted, this is last year, so this is the Broadwell processor. But it shows that the Core M processors are legit, and they really can hold their own. And so now you have this Intel $499 device, a $500 device. Yeah, it's not getting the scores. Okay, so it's scoring a little lower than the Pixel. But again, it's an M5 fanless thing with competing against a Core i7 with double the RAM in it. But going back to the Pentium version, here's where the rubber meets the road, right? When we're talking about these two devices, we have $1,300 retail and $500 retail. And that's, when it comes down to Chromebooks, a lot of times is where the discussion ends. How much is this thing going to cost? Because a lot of people will not spend that kind of money. They're not going to spend $1,000. And even the $800 that is the Core M5 version of the HP, they're not going to spend that either. But when we start talking about $500, people start thinking, hey, that might be a doable thing. And I want to say this about the Pentium version. There are times, like if I have it in a secondary monitor and this monitor up with pushing that many pixels and another display, there are times I saw some hiccups. But I spent a majority of the day with the lid closed and it running to an extended monitor with my trackpad or keyboard and mouse and stuff like that I normally would plug in. And I'll tell you something, I never had any issues, not even a little bit of an issue. The device performed admirably, and I pushed Chromebooks pretty hard. I mean, there was one point I looked up and I had 12 or 13 tabs open. I had Hangouts open. I had a photo editor, Pixlr open. There was a lot of stuff going on, and it was just scrolling through it like it was no big deal. And I had to stop for a second and remember, oh, I'm running this off of the Skylake Pentium chip here with 4 gigs of RAM to boot. So I would say that Chrome is getting better and better at using that RAM swapping, the memory swapping, and the ZRAM and all that kind of stuff. And 4 gigs maybe is getting to the point where, you know, it's pretty workable in these devices. I really didn't have any problems. And I'm sure if I pushed hard, I could run this thing into problems with the RAM. But I was just really impressed with this device over the last couple of days working with it, to the point that I'm, you know, it's got me at least thinking about, okay, can I work from this? Because that's a huge price difference. So it's got me thinking, because again, I've said this before, but part of the charm in Chromebooks is keeping the price down. So to get this aluminum build and this look, this beautiful sleek look, again, look at these guys side by side. This just really, really tight looking device, just nice and thin and beautiful and light and super portable. You start wondering, you know, can I work from this thing? And it's got me wondering, to be honest with you. And I'm considering it. I'm not even sure yet as of this review, but I'm going to keep it around for a little bit longer to see. And so I hope, guys, that showing you this side by side, this is the best on offer, really, as far as performance and build and all that kind of stuff. The HP has come along and really thrown some huge punches here. It's an impressive device. It's an impressive device across the entire line. And the more I use it, the more I'm happy with it, especially now that I've got a device. And hopefully you guys that are ordering or thinking about ordering will get this newer run, I guess, of HPs that have that kind of tightened up trackpad, because it really helped the experience not feel clunky or cheap. And it really enhanced the overall feel of using this device. I've really, really enjoyed it. And so I hope this has helped you make a decision. I hope maybe you can go from this video and decide, hey, that's the thing I'm going to order. You can get them from HP.com right now, this model. The rest of them are sold out right now. Or maybe it steered you away to say, hey, well, this, that, or the other wasn't quite good enough. Either way, guys, I hope it's been helpful. If you like this video, please subscribe below. Give it a thumbs up. Stick around the channel. There's going to be lots and lots more stuff, as always, as Chrome OS develops, Android apps come out, all those kind of things, guys. Thanks again for watching. Come back for the next one. Until then, we'll see you.